you blink and you're going to miss another couple of provincial capitals falling. I think that we had this kind of narrative going around Washington very, very quickly, vanished literally overnight, that there were going to be militias summoned up by some of the old warlords from the jihad and civil war days. We saw that collapse overnight in Herat. So I think that, as you said, there's deal making going on. I think a lot of these forces are taking a way out, whether they're surrendering their weapons, whether they're walking off the battlefield, whether in some cases defecting to the Taliban, and that's kind of an Afghan way of war and a way of war in a lot of the world. So we probably should have seen that coming and should have anticipated this as a worst case scenario in terms of how quickly events are getting out of control. There are some troops that are sort of are going to be dead enders or irreconcilables on the government side. Some of the Afghan special operations units, the NDS, the secret police troops, and some of the MOI, some of the Ministry of Interior, and the Hazaras.
What on earth happened with the tens of billions of dollars that was spent training an Afghan army for this situation?
Well, I think we spent 20 years lying to ourselves. I mean, that's the bottom line. I think we have a system, unfortunately, the U.S. military, I suspect in the U.K. and most of our coalition partners, we have a system that incentivizes short-term results. We did what we did in Iraq as well to a degree in some other places. We built these special operations units that cannibalized manpower and took some of the best people out of all of the conventional Afghan units because that was the easy way to achieve some kind of Afghan fighting force that was competent to achieve supposed results. But as a result, you see what that does in terms of hollowing out the conventional army and police units in Afghanistan. As a result, they fold like a house of cards. And we saw, it's not quite analogous, but a similar situation happened in Iraq when ISIS stormed in 2014. Somewhat the same story.
We heard the British Prime Minister saying that the 457 British military lives that were lost were not lost in vain. Do you think that they were lost in vain or not?
No, I don't think they were lost in vain. First of all, let's remember why we all went to Afghanistan. It was to make sure that we didn't see another 9/11 attack against the United States or any of its NATO allies, first and foremost, right? I mean, the only time Article 5 was invoked, which is collective agreement to use military force to protect an ally under the NATO Charter, was after the Al-Qaeda attack on the United States. So we did, for 20 years, prevent something like that from happening again, and that is a victory. In addition to that, there were hundreds of thousands of women and girls who were educated. There were a lot of young people who were taught what government is all about. And yes, there was a lot of corruption in Afghanistan, and the entire effort wasn't blemish-free. But there is a cadre still of people in Afghanistan who can lead that country if we can get beyond this current crisis. So the history hasn't been written entirely. We don't know what's going to happen. Ultimately, it really is up to the Afghan people. Unfortunately, their government has let them down. And of course, the fighters in the military have let them down as well.